In part 3 of the course, we're going to look at how do you put these practice areas into action. And so we will look at some case studies of what organizations have actually done to work their way through these practice areas, even though at the time they weren't thinking in terms of enacting the practice areas in the framework. In fact, initially they didn't even know of the existence of the framework. And so they started off, like many organizations, trying to create a reusable architecture and a reusable set of components, and then gradually came to the realization that they could go even beyond just the architecture and components and establish a product line capability within the organization. So the first case study we're going to look at is the Cummins case study of integrated engine management systems. And you'll see how they enacted their particular specific practices for the practice areas of the framework. And we'll also see the kinds of terrific results they were able to achieve from their product line effort. Before we get into that, though, let me just recap what we covered in the earlier parts of the course. We saw that there are these 3 essential activities of product line practice: core asset development, product development, and management. And supporting these 3 essential activities are the 29 practice areas, categorized into the skill sets of software engineering, technical management, and organizational management. And organizations that are successful in product lines have been able to work their way through all of these practice areas. So we have 9 software engineering practice areas, and the other 20 are distributed across the 2 kinds of management practice areas: technical management, operating at the level of an organization creating core assets or products, and organizational management, operating at the level of your product line champion or your product line steering group, where they cover the big ticket items like coming up with an appropriate funding model and organizational structure, developing an acquisition strategy, managing the customer interface, all those things that enable and orchestrate the entire product line effort. And we have one practice area called launching and institutionalizing that has guidance for how you would do that, how you would orchestrate all of these practice areas and come up with an adoption plan and a set of goals and objectives for launching the product line in the organization and then institutionalizing it to the point where it becomes community practice and a product line champion is no longer needed, because that's the way the organization routinely turns out products. The framework in the book is version 4.1. The framework on the web is version 5. Here are some of the differences. In particular, the names have changed on 3 of the practice areas. Using externally available software used to be called COTS utilization, commercial off-the-shelf utilization. Process definition has become process discipline, and data collection, measurement, and tracking has become measurement and tracking. And there are some other areas that have changed in terms of the kind of content that has been added, and newer references have been added. The technical planning area, for example, has a stronger connection to the whole idea of coming up with a production plan and a production strategy for a product line operation. So how do you work your way through these practice areas? Well, one way is to look at what other organizations have done to launch and then institutionalize product lines. And we have a number of case studies that we use as a form of guidance for you. We have several other forms as well, including the patterns, the product line technical probe, and our product line curriculum that we will discuss later in the course. Here are some of the case studies that we have. The Celsius Tech case study is in the Software Architecture Principles and Practices book. It's also available as a technical report from the SEI website. Cummins Market Maker and the NRO Raytheon case study are all in the book. The Raytheon case study, the CCT, Control Channel Toolkit, is also available as a separate technical report from the SEI website. The Salion technical report is also available, and you have a copy of that. There are two government case studies that we have done in the area of product lines. The NUWC one is for the Naval Undersea Warfare Center. The Navy operates a number of test and training ranges in some pretty nice parts of the globe, like the Bahamas, for example. And what they do is they instrument an area of the ocean for doing things like torpedo tests. And so the sensors collect the information, feed them back to a land-based site which has a number of display and sensor processing systems. And the Navy saw an opportunity to save some money by creating a product line called Rangeware for the display and sensor processing systems on these ranges. And we helped them with that and helped write up a case study on that. In fact, we also collaborated with them to produce a technical report on their measurement program for Rangeware. The U.S. Army case study is for the TAPO, the Technical Applications Program Office. They created a common avionics architecture for special operations helicopters. And that was so successful, the plan is to take this out to the larger world of cargo and utility helicopters.